Year 3, this is your grammar session for today. It's the second time I tried recording it because I thought I'd done it the first time and there was no sound on, so hopefully this is going to work. So it's focusing on biographies, in particular paragraphs and subheadings, because this week you're going to be writing a biography, so it's really important that you understand the features. And at the end of this session, I'd like you to do a little mind map on a piece of paper of what are the key features, just to check that you have understood. So what is a biography? Well, it gives facts about a person's life. It's not written by the subject of the book, but by an author who's done their research and knows a great deal about that person. Biographies are written in the third person and can be written about someone who's no longer alive. So what features do you think we'll need to include in a biography? So if you pause the video here, have a little think, and then start it again just in a couple of minutes. Okay, so hopefully you had a little think and you came up with some of these. So it should be in the third person, so that means he, she, and they are the pronouns you'd be using. It's in chronological or time order, so starting from early life and moving through. It should have an introduction to explain who the person is or was, and a conclusion at the end to kind of summarize or say what they're doing now or why they're so important. Subheadings and paragraphs are really important. We're going to talk about those in a minute. And then time conjunctions, like later or before too long or in 1980 something or some things like that. And lots of facts and information about the person. So we've already talked about it's a life story written in chronological order. It includes information about when and where the subject was born, their childhood, important events, and what they did or achieved. And if the person isn't alive anymore, it might include information about when and how they died. And sometimes it includes direct quotes from the person or about the person. So in terms of why subheadings and paragraphs are important, it helps to organize the information and it makes it easier for the reader. So what is a paragraph? Well, a paragraph is a group of sentences within a piece of writing which is written about the same idea or topic. And paragraphs are often separated by missing a line between them. So in this example of George the Giant Tortoise, you've got the first block is the first paragraph, and another block of writing, which is a second, and so on. So each little block of writing is a different paragraph. And they're used to show when a writer has changed time, place, or argument. So when a writer does this, they'll start a new paragraph. And in a non-fiction text, we usually see a subheading before each paragraph telling us what it will be about. So for example, this first one doesn't have a subheading because it's an introduction, but then you've got some facts here. And then each of these three paragraphs has its own little subheading. So where do they live, favourite foods, and staying safe, as this one's about hedgehogs. So you don't need to do a mind map yourself of why we use paragraphs, you just need to think about these things. So we already mentioned to show that the author has changed time, place, or argument, to organise what's being explained in a text, to make it easier to read, to group ideas together, and to explain or describe an idea in detail. So here's a big paragraph which actually could be broken down and split into smaller paragraphs. So what I like to do is I read it, think about where the topic changes and where there could be paragraphs in this. Frogs are amphibians, which mean that they can live both on land and in the water. They're cold-blooded, which means that their bodies are the same temperature as the air. When they get cold, they need to lie in the sun to warm up, and when they get too warm, they need to go into the water or find a shady place to cool down. Frogs are found all over the world. They're found in every climate and on all continents except Antarctica. They're often found near any source of fresh water, but they prefer water which does not move very quickly. Smaller frogs eat flies and insects, especially crickets. Larger frogs can eat mice. Frogs don't need to drink because they absorb water through their skin. So if you pause the video here, think about where would you split this up into smaller paragraphs. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to pause the video. So these places where I've put these two little lines are where I would start a new paragraph, because it breaks it down. This first bit is all about kind of what they are. The next few sentences are about where they're found. And then the last bit is what they eat. So can you think of good subheadings for each of those paragraphs? So again, pause the video here and think of a good subheading. Okay, so hopefully you might have thought something like, what are frogs? For the first one, where are frogs found? For the second one, And what do frogs eat for the third one? But you might have had diet, for example, or food, or you might have had location for this one. So there's not always one correct answer, but as long as it makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to look at a biography of Usain Bolt, who you might have heard of, and I want you to think about what would be some good subheadings for these paragraphs. So, how did you become the best sprinter of all time? Usain St. Leo Bolt once said, "When I was young, I didn't really think about anything other than sports." Whilst at secondary school, Usain focused on sprinting, which led him to win his first high school championships medal. Since then, he set new world records, overcome injuries, won many medals, become a hero in his home country of Jamaica, and he hasn't even finished yet. So what do you think would be a good subheading for these two paragraphs? Pause the video and have a little think. Okay, so I thought just introduction would work quite nicely, but you might have come up with something else. So, same thing for these two. What do you think would be a good subheading? Usain was born on the 21st of August 1986 in Jamaica. As a child, he really enjoyed playing football and cricket. Bolt took part in his first race whilst at primary school, however at that time he preferred playing cricket. In an interview, he once said that if he hadn't become a sprinter, he would have loved to be a fast bowler like his cricketing hero Wako Yunis. So again, pause the video and have a think about this. Okay, so I thought early life would work nicely, or childhood, because they both talk about that. Right. So next paragraphs, think about what would be a subheading for these two. At high school, Usain focused on sprinting and won his first silver medal in the 2001 high school championships. His talent caught the eye of former Jamaican Olympic sprinter Pablo McNeil, who went on to become his coach. Pablo would sometimes get frustrated with Bolt as he didn't always take his training seriously and liked playing practical jokes. The 2001 World Youth Championships was Usain's first appearance on the world stage. He didn't win any medals, but he did set a new personal best in the 200-metre race. The World Junior Championships came next, and it was here that Bolt became the youngest world junior gold medalist. So have a little pause and think about this subheading. So I thought it could have been teenage years or getting started in athletics. And the next few paragraphs, what would work for this? In 2004, Usain became the first junior sprinter to run 200 metres in under 20 seconds. It was then that he turned professional and was given a place on the Jamaican Olympic team. He went to the Olympic Games in Athens in 2004, but a leg injury stopped him from winning any medals. As the years passed by, Usain took his sport more seriously and began to train harder to win events. At the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, he broke more world records and won gold in the 100, 200 metres and relay events. This was followed by the World Championships in Berlin, where he improved his times even more. Bolt competed in the 100 metres, 200 metres and relay at the London 2012 Olympic Games and won gold in all three events again. After the races, a fellow runner said there's no doubt he's the greatest sprinter of all time. So what would be a good subheading for these ones? So I thought breaking records or Olympic Games would work. Okay, and the last two. During the 2016 Rio Olympics, Bolt yet again won gold in all three races, 100 metres, 200 metres and relay, and was also awarded the triple-triple, meaning he'd won gold in three events in three Olympic Games. However, this amazing achievement didn't last long, as in 2017, Bolt and his teammates were stripped of the gold medals from the 100-metre relay in the Beijing Games due to one of his teammates being disqualified for taking a banned substance. In 2017, at the World Athletics Championships, Bolt's success didn't continue. He won a bronze medal in one event, and in another he collapsed on the track with a hamstring injury and had to be helped across the finish line by his teammates. This was Bolt's final ever race. So what would be a good subheading for this one? So I thought problems or sad endings or retirement. So when you write your biography, you need to remember to group information together in paragraphs and think of a good subheading. So I thought for Howard Carter, some of these might work. So early life, or career, later life, family, biggest achievement or regrets. So now I've got just one more biography to show you before you think about your kind of mind map of all the key features. So just listen along to the biography of Roald Dahl and then think about the key features. Roald Dahl, a scrumdiddlyumptious story of his life. Have you ever read the story of George and his Marvellous Medicine or the adventures of Charlie Bucket and his Golden Ticket? What about the BFG or the Enormous Crocodile? These are just some of the stories written by the popular children's author Roald Dahl. If you'd like to know more about the life of Roald Dahl, read on. Early life. Roald Dahl was born on September the 13th, 1916 in a place called Llandaff in Wales. His parents, Sophia and Harold, were Norwegian, and because of this, Roald was able to speak both Norwegian and English fluently. When he was 9, Roald went to a boarding school in Weston-super-Mare, and then at the age of 13, he attended another boarding school called Repton near to Derby. During his time here, Roald and other pupils were invited to trial chocolate bars for a famous company. This was a memory that remained with him throughout his whole life. Although Roald had some happy memories such as this, school was not an enjoyable time for him because he was treated badly and even beaten by some of the pupils. Work life. With his school days happily behind him, at the age of 18, Roald's desire to travel took him to Canada and then to East Africa where he worked for Shell Oil. This was until World War II began, and at the age of 23, Roald joined the Royal Air Force, RAF. Dahl had many opportunities in the RAF, but he also suffered a serious injury which took him around 6 months to recover from. Author life. At the age of 26, no longer able to fly, Roald Dahl was posted to Washington, D.C., the capital city of the United States of America, where he completed his first paid piece of writing after a story writer encouraged him to write about his experiences. 4 years later, Roald returned to the United Kingdom, during which time he married and had children. In 1962, perhaps inspired by the birth of his children, Roald's first famous book for children, James and the Giant Peach, was published. The writing of this book had been such a positive experience for Roald that he quickly began work on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the story inspired by his childhood chocolate tasting. You may now be imagining Roald Dahl writing these stories in a large, comfortable studio typing at a computer, but actually he spent his time, 4 hours every single day, in a little shed known simply as his writing hut at the bottom of his garden. He would sit in a worn-out armchair writing in an old red book using pencil. The years that followed saw the release of both books and films, including The Magic Finger, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, The Enormous Crocodile, and many more. Interestingly, many of Dahl's characters were based on people he met in real life. For example, the little girl in the BFG was named after his granddaughter Sophie. Not only did Roald Dahl write books, he produced poems and invented over 250 new words. There's even an official dictionary to help you to tell your snozcumbers from your snozberries. Delicious facts. Roald Dahl was named after the famous Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen. Writing wasn't his strong point at school, according to his teachers anyway. Remembering Dahl. At the age of 74, on November 23, 1990, Roald Dahl died. Carved into slabs around the base of his memorial bench in the parish church of St. Peter and St. Paul, Buckinghamshire, is this poem taken from The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me. We have tears in our eyes as we wave our goodbyes. We so love being with you, we three. So please now and then come and see us again, the Giraffe and the Pelly and Me. From the bench you can follow the BFG's footprints to Roald Dahl's grave. Delicious fact. A real man named Willy Wonka once wrote to Roald Dahl. He was a postman. On September 13, 2006, the day that would have been Roald's 90th birthday, the first ever Roald Dahl Day took place across the world. There were celebrations in the UK, USA and Holland. Roald Dahl Day with delicious dress-ups continues to be a famous annual event which is held in September. Many people raise money in aid of Roald Dahl's marvellous children's charity. If your school is remembering the fizz-whizzing, scrumdiddlyumptious and whiz-popping creations of Roald Dahl this year, which character will inspire your costume? So now you've heard both of those examples of biography, can you, on a piece of paper, create a mind map of all the features of a biography? Good luck!